The requirement for a dedicated circuit for a 110 volts fire alarm system is often determined by the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ. This means the specific requirements can vary based on local regulations and interpretations, even if not explicitly stated in the National Electrical Code, or NEC. It is crucial to understand the NEC provides a baseline for electrical installations, but the AHA has the power to enforce stricter standards based on their interpretation of the code or local ordinances. Therefore, it is essential to communicate directly with the AHA to understand the specific requirements for fire alarm systems. The NEC addresses fire alarm systems in Article 760.0. However, this article mainly focuses on the classification and wiring methods for fire alarm circuits, not necessarily whether they must be on a dedicated circuit. The relevant sections often refer to the power source requirements and circuit integrity, ensuring that the fire alarm system remains operational during a fire. The NEC does mention the need for dedicated circuits in certain life safety systems, such as emergency lighting, to ensure they remain functional during power outages. The rationale behind requiring a dedicated circuit is to prevent the fire alarm system from being affected by other electrical loads in the building. If the fire alarm is on the same circuit as lighting or receptacles, any overload or failure on that circuit could potentially disable the fire alarm system, compromising its ability to alert occupants during a fire. In contrast, a dedicated circuit provides a separate, reliable power source, minimizing the risk of interference from other electrical devices. The term homerun refers to a direct electrical connection from the fire alarm device back to the main electrical panel without any intermediate connections or splices to other circuits. This ensures that the fire alarm system has its own dedicated power supply and is not sharing a circuit with other devices. The purpose of using a homerun is to isolate the fire alarm system from other electrical loads, ensuring that it receives a consistent and reliable power supply. One should consult the specific sections of the NEC related to fire alarm systems, particularly Article 760.0, to understand the code's requirements for power sources and circuit integrity. The code specifies the types of wiring methods that are permitted for fire alarm circuits, as well as the requirements for overcurrent protection. In addition, one should review any local amendments or ordinances that may be in effect, as these can sometimes impose stricter requirements than the NEC itself. The local AHA may have specific requirements regarding the use of dedicated circuits for fire alarm systems. These requirements may be based on local conditions or concerns, such as a high risk of power outages or a history of electrical fires. Before installing a fire alarm system, it is recommended to consult with the AHA to understand their requirements and ensure that the system meets all applicable codes and regulations. During the inspection, it is important to be prepared to discuss the rationale for the wiring configuration and to demonstrate compliance with all applicable codes and standards. The inspector may ask questions about the circuit's load calculations, the types of wiring methods used, and the overcurrent protection devices. It is also helpful to have documentation available, such as wiring diagrams and product specifications, to support the installation. In cases where there is disagreement with the inspector's interpretation of the code, it is important to remain respectful and professional. It is possible to request a clarification or interpretation from the AHA or to seek a second opinion from another qualified electrical professional. The goal is to ensure that the fire alarm system is installed in a safe and code-compliant manner, while also respecting the authority of the AHA. The NEC guidelines related to fire alarm circuits emphasize the importance of reliability and functionality during emergencies. This includes requirements for wiring methods, overcurrent protection, and power source supervision. Understanding these requirements is essential for ensuring that the fire alarm system performs as intended when it is needed most. If the AHA requires a dedicated circuit, there are several ways to comply with this requirement. One option is to run a separate homerun from the fire alarm device back to the main electrical panel. This involves installing a new circuit breaker in the panel and running a dedicated set of wires to the fire alarm device. Another option is to tap into an existing lighting circuit, but only if the circuit is dedicated to lighting and does not serve any other loads. The lighting circuit must also be sized appropriately to handle the additional load of the fire alarm device. Another consideration is the type of fire alarm system being installed. Some fire alarm systems, such as addressable systems, may have different wiring requirements than conventional systems. It is important to consult the manufacturer's instructions and the applicable codes to ensure that the wiring is installed correctly. When wiring a fire alarm system, it is important to use the correct type of wire and to follow all applicable wiring methods. The NEC specifies the types of wire that are permitted for fire alarm circuits, as well as the requirements for conduit boxes and other wiring components. In addition, it is important to properly ground and bond the fire alarm system to ensure that it is protected from electrical faults. If there are any doubts about the proper wiring methods, it is best to consult with a qualified electrician or fire alarm technician. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure that the fire alarm system is installed in a safe and code-compliant manner, so that it will function reliably in the event of a fire. In the context of this specific case, where the inspector failed the fire alarm inspection for not having the 110 volts feed on a dedicated circuit, it is important to understand the basis for the inspector's decision. If the inspector is relying on a local ordinance or AHA policy, then the installer must comply with that requirement. However, if the inspector is simply misinterpreting the NEC, then the installer may be able to challenge the decision. In either case, it is important to communicate with the inspector and to understand their reasoning. It may also be helpful to consult with another qualified electrical professional to get a second opinion. In some cases, it may be possible to negotiate with the inspector to find a solution that meets both the code requirements and the installer's needs. For example, it may be possible to install a dedicated circuit for the fire alarm system, but to use a smaller gauge wire or a lower amperage circuit breaker. Alternatively, it may be possible to demonstrate that the existing circuit is capable of handling the additional load of the fire alarm system and that it meets all applicable safety requirements. The NEC does not specifically require fire alarm systems to be on a dedicated circuit, but many local jurisdictions do have such a requirement. This is because fire alarm systems are considered life safety systems, and it is important to ensure that they are as reliable as possible. A dedicated circuit helps to ensure that the fire alarm system will not be affected by other electrical loads in the building. If the fire alarm system is on the same circuit as other devices, such as lighting or receptacles, then a fault on that circuit could potentially disable the fire alarm system. This could have serious consequences in the event of a fire. The AHA has the authority to interpret and enforce the NEC. This means that the AHA can require fire alarm systems to be on a dedicated circuit, even if the NEC does not specifically require it. If the AHA has such a requirement, then the installer must comply with it. It is always best to check with the AHA before beginning any electrical work to ensure that the work will comply with all applicable codes and regulations. If the AHA does require a dedicated circuit for the fire alarm system, then there are a few different ways to comply with this requirement. Firstly, the installer can run a new circuit from the electrical panel to the fire alarm system. This is the most reliable way to ensure that the fire alarm system will have its own dedicated power source. Secondly, the installer can tap into an existing lighting circuit, but only if the lighting circuit is dedicated to lighting and does not serve any other loads. The lighting circuit must also be sized appropriately to handle the additional load of the fire alarm system. Thirdly, the installer can use a combination of these two methods. For example, the installer could run a new circuit from the electrical panel to a junction box, and then tap into an existing lighting circuit from the junction box to the fire alarm system. Regardless of which method is used, it is important to ensure that the wiring is installed correctly and that it complies with all applicable codes and regulations. The NEC requires that all fire alarm circuits be protected by an overcurrent device, such as a circuit breaker or fuse. The size of the overcurrent device must be appropriate for the size of the wiring and the load on the circuit. The NEC also requires that all fire alarm circuits be installed in a raceway, such as conduit or electrical metallic tubing, The raceway must be properly grounded and bonded to ensure that it is safe. The NEC requires that all fire alarm circuits be tested after they are installed. The test must verify that the circuit is working properly and that it is capable of carrying the required load. The NEC requires that all fire alarm systems be inspected and maintained on a regular basis. The inspection and maintenance must be performed by a qualified technician. The technician must inspect the system for any signs of damage or wear and tear, and must perform any necessary repairs or replacements.